Yeah. Oh, chair.
I'll mention it. Diane's in charge of chairs all the time.
Usually Ed makes everybody sign it.
I think I have it listed here too. Everybody ready now?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Welcome to the May 3rd, 2023 meeting for the Historical Architectural Review Board. Thank you for coming and joining us in our efforts to preserve our city's architectural resources. We are an advisory board to Bethlehem City Council appointed by the Mayor of Bethlehem. Membership on the board includes a registered architect, a licensed real estate broker, and 6 other residents with knowledge or interest in historic preservation, and Bethlehem's building inspector. We are advised by Joe Phillips, Harb's Historic Preservation Officer. Today's review will be conducted as follows. Applicants for a Certificate of Appropriateness, a COA, will be reviewed in the order in which they were received. Mr. Phillips will describe the proposed changes as well as significant features of the building and describe the Secretary of Interior standards that apply to your project. Changes to district structures are based on Bethlehem's historic ordinance and the Secretary of Interior standards. Project representatives are welcome to provide additional information and respond to questions from board members. A motion is made and a second solicited. Additional discussion may ensue before a vote is taken. The motion may approve the submission as made or approve with modifications. It may deny with clear reasons why the proposal does not meet the qualifications. It may be tabled with a list of clarifications needed to allow the board to make a recommendation. The recommendation of the board is then submitted to City Council for issuance or denial of your COA. Recommendations made today will be acted upon by council at their next meeting, typically on the first and third Tuesdays, which you may attend. No work may begin until approval is received. Any conflict of interest? Anybody?
Nope.
Okay. So we're going to start with, if you haven't signed in, there's a sheet right there for you to sign in so that we know that who was here. 17 East Church Street.
Okay. If you remember, the applicant was before us last month, and
hi, how are you all?
hi, welcome back.
Buddy.
Yes, and we approved a number of items. The third of those was the replacement of the shingles with GAF slate line shingles in the antique gray color, and we said if the applicant would like to propose a different shingle, they must come back to Harb with a sample. So the applicant's proposing to replace the existing roof shingles, substituting GAF Timberline HDZ shingles in a slate color in lieu of the previously approved GAF slate line shingles. So I don't think we need to go through all the other stuff on there since we're familiar with this. We saw it last month, and all that was included in my review that you got earlier this week. So we're down to one item, right? Oh, okay.
Did you say for now?
Well, we have that, back of the house with the chimney situation coming. But it'll be for next meeting.
One step at a time.
Goody.
Yeah.
So this is just the physical sample. That is a visual representation from the manufacturer's website to just give you an idea. I know last time I was here, you mentioned being familiar with the slate line, not as familiar with other options, and asked to bring a sample. So I don't know if this helps. It doesn't.
And can you remind us why the change?
I think it was a couple of considerations if you want to add to that.
The contractor that we're using noted that because of the dormers, there is some vertical areas that have the slate, and this adheres much better to a vertical surface. And then also, I think it has a really nice look with it. I know what the slate line shingle looks like. I've seen other homes in the historic district that have an updated, more architectural shingle. So I think it does have a more appealing look.
And in all transparency, I think there's also a cost difference as well that works in our favor as far as functionality, cost, and aesthetic.
So which color, are you suggesting the color, that color?
Yes, which is that color.
Is that a sample? I mean, is that a
That's
true,
the
This is
true
the
color?
actual
Okay.
sample from our contractor.
So, I mean, just as a note, the slate line, one of the reasons we all, like it is because it is made to simulate slate. The timberline shingle is not designed to simulate the slate, but they are proposing the slate color.
What's the lifetime on this?
I believe it's a 50.
So the warranties are probably the same or very similar with the slate line and the timberline.
Say that again, Joe.
I said the warranties, I'm sure, are similar between the slate line and the timberline.
But it's the same manufacturer.
Correct.
And it's just that this is going to adhere better to the vertical parts of the dormers.
Correct. And also, it's a different style. It's a different style. So the slate line shingle, I think, it's very noticeable that that's a slate line shingle. But this is an architectural shingle, so it lays a little bit different. It has in my opinion, a little bit of a cleaner feel to it. I like this product better than the slate line from a look standpoint. But yeah, it's the same, the same company.
So as Joe mentioned, that one of the reasons that we approved the other over this one quickly is because it does look like slate. So I think we're all a little wrestling with that fact that it doesn't. I am, right.
As am I, and I guess my question to the board is, if we approve this shingle, then is this something that all the neighborhood or the neighbors could move forward with?
Well, yeah, because precedence is set.
Exactly. And is that what we want?
And have we in the recent past, or have we declined someone who's proposed to do an architectural shingle like this? I don't know. I don't recall off the top of my head.
There was a house on, I don't think it's Center
High Street.
High.
That two halves, part of the half of the roof was already an architectural shingle, and they just wanted to add the other half to match.
Right. And there was a neighbor to that, I think, that at the time they had a number of options they brought in. They were slate looking shingles, but it wasn't slate. It wasn't a slate line, a GAF slate line. It was a different brand of the slate,
Right.
simulated slate shingle.
So, Joe, in your previous notes, you note guidelines, number 9
Mhm.
and 10.
I can read them. New additions, exterior alterations, related new construction will not destroy historic materials, features, and spatial relationships that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportion and massing to protect the integrity of the historic property and its environment. That was number 9. Number 10. New additions and adjacent or related new construction will be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired. In our historic district guidelines under roofing, says Harb encourages replacement of roofing materials when they're beyond repair, matching original color, pattern, material, and texture. Retention of decorative roof elements such as chimneys, cupolas, cresting, finials, eaves, and cornices. Installing shingle caps along ridge or extended vents continuously to end of ridge. Painting drip edges to match adjacent trim. Installing half-round gutters and plain round downspouts.
So in my mind, the replace of the first one that you read in the historic district guidelines, replacement of roofing materials when beyond repair, matching original color. Does that do that? Pattern. Okay, material and texture is obviously different.
Well, I would say the pattern is different because,
Yeah,
Because of the-
architectural's cut different.
right.
What was that, Mike?
Architectural's cut different.
it has a little taper to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything else you gave us was so easy.
I know.
I thought we'd breeze through this.
Well, anybody want to?
And who is who's doing the roofing on this?
Keith Turner.
And he said it's impossible to do the verticals?
No, he said that they just have better, they have less issues with coming back and having to repair. So that's kind of what he described to me.
But we've had other people do dormers.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's,
But
it's the precedence I'm concerned with.
the thing
because
I'm trying to picture where the dormers are on that. We don't have the photos here on this.
They face City Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're okay with the color, we're okay with the material, we're okay with the texture, and it literally is pattern that we're,
Correct.
Oh, honestly, I would sooner see personally, the one that we approve just because of the precedence of setting this and
What about? I mean, they're talking about the dormers, but what about? Isn't that part of the roof almost vertical?
Yeah, the mansard roof. Yeah.
And so that's the part that they're talking about more than that. The dormers are not so much of a problem, but it's that vertical part where the dormers come out of,
Which would make sense.
which is the issue.
So sorry for leaving that detail out, but I think that is, I'm playing it back. He's talking about
Can you speak up, please?
the roof where the dormers meet.
Yes.
The dormers themselves are vertical, but the roof that is connected all the way around there is essentially, not vertical, pretty close.
And see, because this is what I can't.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the part that's almost vertical right there.
But that's
Oh.
also the part that we see from the street.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, when you're looking at that and it's flat, are you going to see that much of a difference from the architectural part on that as you would on a slope?
You will.
Yeah.
It's quite different.
did you get it, Jeff?
Yeah, I can't quite. Yeah.
Pardon?
So I'll pay for the back.
Excuse me.
Thanks.
I mean, it is different. So it's I know we've had discussions about this before, and acceptable shingles and simulated slate and whether all roofs should look the same. But I mean, you're going to know that it's, it's not slate. So
Right. And I think that's the difference. It's because it doesn't have that slate look. Any other comments or questions or?
Did we previously approve the slate line shingles? Did we approve
We
them at
did.
the last meeting?
we did.
Okay.
We did?
We did
Yeah,
approve
we
the
did.
slate line. Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot.
It was,
Yeah, I wasn't sure
it
exactly.
was motion number 3.
Cited for 6 minutes.
It among other things, the conditions under the approval and the vote, number 2 was shingles shall be GAF slate line shingles in the antique gray color. If the applicant would like to propose a different shingle, they must come back to Harb with a sample of the proposed shingle for review and approval. I think what everyone's wrestling with, and I think what you need to do is, as a board is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the shingle. The question is it appropriate for the architecture of the building and the character of the historic district.
I think it's important to note that if in our time downtown, at our home, looking around the neighborhood, I don't think I would have even proposed this if it wasn't for the fact that there are numerous properties within the historic district that have an architectural symbol. If all I saw was slate and slate line, I think I probably would have pretty reserved in asking. But if you from on the roof of that house looking out, there are numerous properties within eyesight that are already using this architectural symbol. So I just want that to be noted.
Yeah, they could be historic or, just changed without our
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah, it could have been.
Not that we want to be a bad guy. We
Well,
hate
and
being
then just a
bad
note
guys.
also, we obviously are trying to go through the process with fidelity, and understanding the architectural integrity of it. So
Yeah.
we respect that.
And I think the concept that it's going to be better for the application has to have a big factor in weighing in on approving it, because it's going to be a better application for that vertical part of that roof.
I don't know that I totally agree with that. That
Well,
one's better over the
You're
other.
the architect, you'd know better, so
Right.
I'll defer to you on that.
There's plenty of
Yeah.
What do you think,
mansard
Mark?
roofs that have that slate line put on it. I think, honestly, I think the big determining factor is cost.
Right.
I mean,
Is what?
neither of these are cheap shingles. It's just
Cost.
one is more economical than the other. And the timber line would be more economical than the slate line to install, put on. So, I mean, they both would have equal warranties, and it's not like the slate line shingle is going to fall off or anything.
So since we've already approved the slate line, and if we say to you, we're going to stick with that approval, is that a hardship or? What's the delta?
The opinion of the decision of the committee. That's all.
All right. Okay.
So you're saying this one is less expensive than the slate line?
Yes.
Yep.
Pardon me?
Yes. Anybody have any more questions? Anybody want to make a motion? Well, I'll give it a shot, just for votes, so I move that we stick with our previous approval of the slate line.
All right, so can I reword that?
Yes.
So the motion is to deny the
There
substitution
you go.
of,
I don't deny often.
let's call it what it is, right? Substitution of the timberline shingles submitted, and I'll get that right, but in lieu of the previously approved slate line shingles.
Just a quick question. How desperate is the roof in need of replacement? Like, is this something?
There's water infiltration.
Okay.
It looks like it's worse in the back of the house than it is on the main part of
The
the.
reason I asked that is because we didn't accept the timberline, the architectural shingles. If they had another slate line shingle that they wanted to try to propose for a cost difference, we wouldn't be opposed to them
Yeah.
bringing something else back. But I don't know how soon you need the roof replaced.
We were waiting to start work until this meeting. So, we're looking to make it happen.
Okay.
Especially if we have rainstorms the way we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. I'll second your motion.
Okay, so motion's been made, seconded by Diana, made by Connie. Any further conversation or discussion? All right, roll call vote. Connie made the motion, Diana seconded. Rod,
I
Joe,
Nay,
sorry.
I think
He's
I'm not in
opposed.
favor. I'm opposed.
Okay, sorry, that's why I wanted to make sure. And Mike.
Aye.
So the motion carries 4-1 to deny the substitution of timberline in lieu of the approved slate line shingles.
Thank you for your consideration. We'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
See you again
Next month.
soon.
Soon.
Okay, next up, 407 Center Street.
So just wanted to make a little statement on 40749. We have new staff, and this is actually two applications. It's 407 and 409. There's two separate owners. She had created the agenda with only one owner's name on there, and there's actually two separate owners. So
Okay.
I don't know if we want to treat these, I'm sure we want to treat these as two separate items for when we vote.
Okay, so just to clarify, have a seat.
Yep.
No need to stay standing. Hold on. Your name is?
Troy Long.
All right, 1 second. And you are from?
Paul Wright Roof.
Paul Wright Roof. Okay, Troy, was it?
Yes.
Troy Long, did you say? All right, so just to clarify then, Mike, the garage is owned by both 407 and 409, is that?
Yes. There's half is owned by 407,
Oh, God.
approximately half, and approximately the other half is owned by 409.
Got it.
If it matters, 3 bays, one bay's the other. If it
Uh,
matters.
Okay, I thought there was, there's six
Pardon me?
garage doors in that.
No.
So,
Okay.
yeah, there's actually 6 garage doors there, so I don't know.
There's 2 on the carriage house. There's 4 on this particular garage.
Okay, so 407 owns 3 bays?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm not considering, what are you considering the carriage house? The 1.5 story structure? Okay. Well, somewhere I viewed it and I saw 6, but it doesn't matter. It's split in the middle somewhere of the garage and there's no parapet separating that or anything. All right. And is it being proposed to replace the shingles on the carriage house as well?
No.
Okay.
So there are shingles on the carriage house, not,
Slate on the carriage.
Right.
okay.
And I will note that it does look like the slate are in much better shape on the carriage house than they are on the garage roof. All right, give me a second. All right. So the proposed work, the applicant proposes to remove the existing slate roofing, it says from all facets, and that was the confusion between the garage. So all facets of the garage roof, it connects to the carriage house, so that's where the question came in, and install new slate line shingles, copper flashings, and white aluminum drip edge. It's a one-story garage structure topped with a slate shingle cross-gabled roof. The right end of the garage roof has a shallow hip on it. So as you're facing it from, that's actually school, isn't it? School Lane or something. Yeah. There's a shallow hip on the right-hand side of it. And the ridge and hip intersections are fitted with a metal capping. And it's punctuated with smooth brick piers. And I counted 6 overhead garage doors, but I can be corrected. They're paneled garage doors. There's beaded wood siding, cladding above the heads of the garage doors. At the roof edge, 2 of the garage bays are fitted with K gutters. So that must be the one owner, right? And then I have the other 4 garage bays are fitted with half round gutters. Are the gutters remaining? Okay.
Are you speaking of 407 right now?
I'm speaking of the garage as a whole, so
Okay.
you can correct me. I'm asking if the gutters are staying the way they
Yes,
are.
all the gutters are staying.
One question, the 409 application doesn't mention all facets. It
Right.
very specifically says rear alley side
Right.
slopes.
Right,
That-
that's why I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, but that's why
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that
Right. We did,
that it was, because 409 is only the rear slope, and 409 touches the carriage house. 407 doesn't touch the carriage house.
so from school, there's going to be, that's going to end up being half slate line shingles and half slate then?
The yard side will be 3/4 slate line, 1/4 slate.
Okay.
The yard side of 409
So 409,
only wants to replace the alley slope.
the alley.
I don't know what street it is there. But if
I
could say
think
the
it's
alley.
school, yeah.
Sorry, I did not receive anything on 409, so
Okay.
I'm,
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to lead anybody astray. 409 is the only property that actually touches the carriage house.
yeah, okay.
407 is attached, not attached. to the-
Right. It's on the right-hand side as you face it from the alley. 407 is.
Yes,
407 is both sides.
yes.
Roof, so. And then this.
Okay. We don't have to go into anything about the carriage house that I had written up because it's not involving the carriage house. Again, we have the guidelines number 9 and 10 that we just read, and the same Bethlehem Historic Guidelines about roofing that we just read for the last application. So basically, replacement of slate with GAF Timberline slate line shingles, antique gray,
Antique side.
antique slate. Color, complete on the alley side and 407 side on the, just on the backyards, on the backyard side as well.
407, all facets.
Right.
409, alley side, rear slope is what I'm calling rear slope only.
And so they're going to be doing the copper flashing, white aluminum drip edge.
Are you going to be reusing or replacing the metal capping on the ridge?
Just copper ridge roll going back on.
Okay.
All facets of both properties.
Can I make a motion? Make a motion that we, approve removal of the existing slate shingles, flashing and et cetera, and installation of new slate line shingles, copper flashing and white aluminum drip edge. in accordance with the discussion.
I'll second that.
Okay, give me a second. And are we handling these separately?
Yes,
So we're talking about 407?
yes.
So motion's been made by Joe. Is there a second? Rod, second.
Rod.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Connie?
Aye.
Diana?
Aye.
Rod seconded. Joe made the motion. Michael?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. 409. Is there a
I'd
motion
make the
for
same
one?
motion.
Okay,
I'll second that same
Joy,
motion.
not both sides though, right?
right.
Correct.
Just
So
the
this
rear.
is,
Just the
this
rear.
is the,
Slope side.
the alley side only.
But is this the one, Mr. Long, that's having the half and half on the half slate line and half slate on the yard side?
Yes.
This
409, yeah, it's the half and half one.
Yes, the sight line from the back, or the alley side, as I can say it that way, I can
Mm.
whatever you said it was, will be all slate line shingles on both properties.
Right.
407, the yard side, will be slate line, and 409, the original slate that's still there, which is really shaded well and in good shape, will be left.
And
So really,
409
the thing is that
attaches
we're-
to the carriage.
409 attaches to the carriage house.
Okay.
But when it confuses the issue when you start talking about half and half, but the reality of it is 407 is totally slate
Right.
replacement, and 409 just has the alley side
Correct.
replaced. Everything else is remaining slate.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Connie?
Aye.
Diana?
Aye.
Rod second. Joe made the motion. Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I'm sorry, what were you?
Harder to install, but it doesn't mean they're not appropriate.
From the last thing.
Yeah,
What's harder to install?
slate line are harder to install, but that's,
It's not inappropriate.
I didn't say they would. Alrighty. Next up,
26 West Market.
hi, your name, sir?
Josh.
Josh.
Josh, did you sign in? Yes. Okay.
O-D-E-N. Thank you for the clarification, because I think they had you as Ogden. That's the other Josh. Alrighty, so. Let me get there. All right, I am there. The applicant owner of the property located at 26 West Market Street proposes to sand, prepare, prime, and paint the existing residence. The colors will be unchanged and remain the same as currently present. The windowsill will be made by Campbell Strasser and will match exactly the existing dimensions, pitch, and profile, and will be fabricated from solid mahogany. It says windowsill on the application. Is there a specific windowsill, or is it? I mean, I
There is one particular windowsill that's, in my professional opinion, beyond ratio epoxy.
Okay.
And is
All right, but it's going to be replaced in kind. Okay.
So this is an entire in-kind, same color.
Right.
Yep.
If nobody has any questions, I'll just make a motion to approve the in-kind painting, same colors, and the, replacement of the sill by Campbell Strasser. Okay.
Can I just add one caveat to that? Can the color swatches be dropped off at the code office prior to starting, just for confirmation?
I did make like 8x11 painted sample chips that was submitted to the permit zoning.
Oh, it was? Okay, well, then I'll look for them if I can
And
find.
then on the back, I also have printed out the color formulas
Perfect.
Exact name and everything so that you can see a large sample of the color.
Perfect, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'll second Rod's motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote. Connie?
Aye.
Diana seconded. Rod motioned. Joe?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was
Thanks, take care.
Thank you so much.
You can come anytime.
Take care.
Oh, yeah. I could bring another chair up.
59.
Oh,
How are you?
Oh, hi.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi,
How are you?
Jeff.
Good to see you all.
Sorry, your name is? I don't know.
Good
Lori.
to be seen.
Hi, Maria.
Lori Ann, what's your last name? Great, thank you. All right. Give me a second. So the applicant, owner of the property located at 459 Old York Road, proposes to remove and replace the failing and inappropriate deck and egress steps at the south elevation with simpler egress steps constructed using pressure-treated wood and composite materials, along with tubular steel handrails to match the existing ramp and egress steps at the north elevation. Project is proposed to resolve the failing existing deck while unifying the exterior appearance of both the north and south elevations, and to withstand nuisance flooding and occasional major flooding events within the colonial industrial quarter. The building, many of you probably know it, is the Luckenbach Mill. It's a 3.5-story Federal Revival smooth brick building. It's located in the colonial industrial quarter. It was constructed in 1869 and replaced the second mill that was built in 1751 that was destroyed by fire. Structure was enlarged in the 1880s to include a monitor on the roof, an addition on the back, and a bay connecting it to the dye house immediately to the west. Milling operations ceased in the 1930s, and the building became a car parts shop. The building was restored in 1983 for museum and office use. The smooth brick facade is divided into 5 bays by brick pilasters and is punctuated with 6/6 light windows with heavy sills and heads. Gabled roof dormers align with the windows below, and they punctuate the main roof and are fitted with 6/6 light double hung windows. And what's in question is there's a wooden platform and stair that's situated in the middle 3 bays and aligned with the first floor currently. And the proposal is to put a much smaller landing and stair, mainly for egress, correct? Yeah, okay. So, and you can correct me if any of my history is wrong, because I'm sure you know this building much better than I do. Feel free. So I think, I think the question, we discussed this at our last meeting briefly. Jeff was great. He called me up. We went out, we looked at it, and we were able to see it firsthand. And I know, the question in some of your minds is probably the composite materials. On the north side, however, I don't know if you said, but do you remember when that deck on the back, there's a AD access ramp and a stair on the back, and it's constructed of mostly composite materials. The substructure may be pressure treated wood, and some of the guardrails on it are horizontal, and some of them a few of them are still wood. Did you have it? I don't remember if there was
I don't have a date on that. The city took over that job. It wasn't done internally. There was a significant flood in 2004 that took away the previous, I'm assuming it was sooner after. It was when one of the hurricanes came through and flooded the entire district.
I remember that.
And I had just moved from Germany to Bethlehem at that same time. So I'm assuming it's within the first year. I don't have distinct memory.
Mm-hmm. So as you can see from the floor plan that was submitted, it's just a very small landing outside the south exit. And then the stairs go down, and the detailing, from what I can see, is exactly the same as the structure, the deck structure on the rear. Is the composite material proposed to be painted, or is it just going to be its natural color?
I brought some samples.
Awesome.
Because it was done 20 plus years ago, composite has changed, so we're not
Right.
going to find an exact match
Right,
to what
right.
was there. And to be honest, I don't think we would want to.
No.
No offense to the crew who did it. I'm sure they had used the best at that time for what they were dealing with. I started with the favorite option because the decking is a butt joint rather than a tongue and groove. I started with high quality composites as preferred, with the color that mostly mimics what's there already, just gray colors.
Mhm.
And all of our porches throughout the district have a slight gray color to them, so this would also fit that category. It's by Wolf, and Wolf used to be solely residential. It's you won't find it at your home improvement center. We're not proposing anything you can find at those. Those would not be acceptable to us, and I'm sure they would not be appropriate for your purposes. You can pass the sample around. Because it is decking, it does need some texture, because otherwise it would be
Right.
slippery, too
Right.
dangerous. But I find that surface treatment fairly reserved rather than some of the extreme kind of fake wood. Another reason that we're favoring wood, and here, this is their specifications, is they come with the whole system. So it's not only the decking, it's the trim, it's the covers for the posts, because you're correct. We're going to have to do anything structural, will have to be pressure treated. So we can sheathe any of those components in the same material with the exact same color and not have to worry about any kind of color change or rendition over time. Structurally, however, and that's why the rails, the horizontal portions of the existing one, are pressure treated, and they would need to be pressure treated, because even though it has a very large profile, the rails themselves are not structural. They will warp over time. We don't want warping. That means for a good year upon installation, you're going to see raw pressure treated, because they need to stay in place for a good calendar year before they are painted. And then they would be painted to match the color rendition of everything else.
So that's the handrails?
That would be the handrails, the top rail and the
And the
subsequent
horizontal.
rail. The same ones you see there.
Okay.
My experience, I'm not saying Wolf does, some of the composite companies make composite materials that have length to them. In my experience, they do work. And I just don't want them to be close to that. You can't see anything that is cut, however, is colored through. That's another benefit of having Wolf, that it's a consistent color all the way through material, rather than because inevitably there would be joints. But you won't see a different color, or you won't see any hollow components like you see from the less sophisticated composite materials.
So the spacing is going to be exactly the same.
We're trying to mimic as best we can that. Again, that exact material is not currently available, but this mimics that, in my opinion, is actually a better quality product, to be honest.
And this,
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to, sorry, and beyond that, you'll see just for ADA compliance, there's a metal a metal piping that we really have no control over. It has to meet all the guidelines, and it'll be painted black to match the one that's there now.
Yeah, the handrail is separate from the guardrails. So.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, maybe, Ms. Hutchin, when you said the handrail, maybe you meant that, and I misinterpreted. I meant the top rail, not the handrail.
And the south entry here, it's purely landing and the steps, unlike the north that has the ramp. There's not going to be any ramp involved. Is that
Correct.
my
Yeah, we've
understanding?
satisfied ADA compliance with the ramp already.
Got it.
This is a secondary means of egress from a space just inside.
Got it.
This is an aside. I'm just curious. And Joe, you probably know this better. The horizontal spacing of this, it's a climbing thing with
Yeah.
kids, right?
Yeah.
So that's approved. It's just for my knowledge.
What's the question though?
Well, because
From a
it's
code
horizontal.
standpoint.
So
instead of vertical?
it's like the ladder effect, they call it. It is because it's historic in nature. I mean, new construction is not allowed to have that.
Okay.
But we're restoring what's already there.
Yeah.
So,
I was just curious.
yeah.
That's a good question. We have that detail at the Smithy reconstruction on the rear, on the Nain Schober House on Heckwater Place.
Mhm.
So we do see that detail in the 18th century. We're not trying to mimic something that was 18th century. Obviously, this wasn't here. Interestingly, and that's why I included the historic photograph. There was no landing originally because the horse carriage just pulled up to those doors and simply offloaded the materials from inside. So this came about in the 1970s or 80s when it was retrofitted for institutional purposes. So we're not recreating something that's there. I should have said that from there. And we're trying to make it as minimal as possible.
What's the lifespan of that Wolf product?
According to the prospectus, I think it said 25 to 30, which is actually better than you're going to get from a mahogany or an epay. It's pricier than if we had used those types of wood species, but the benefit to the client is they don't have to paint it. They don't have to worry about the upkeep in case it
Doesn't
cracks in
peel,
case it's going-
yeah.
So they're willing to invest a bit more in the front end so that they don't have to do continuing.
Thank you. And just to have this spoken out loud to the board, are we allowing composite in this situation because it is in a floodplain and this is the only appropriate product that would work for this application?
I think we previously approved a composite at the Heron
Funeral home.
Funeral Home. The
And-
decking.
deck.
Right.
And if you remember,
okay.
that was
Yes,
a
I do
gray.
remember that.
That was a
Mhm.
gray color because of most of the porch.
But we've
decking is
also
gray.
denied other historic
We have.
buildings.
For
the
other
neighborhood
for
for-
other components,
Yes.
railings and spindles and things like that. So
Right.
I
I
think
think this is a bit unique though because it does receive so much water throughout the course of a.
Agreed. I'm not, I'm just pointing out that, do we need to point out in our notes that this has been
A special case.
a
I
special
think we
case?
have to make the point that this is a unique
Yes, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
situation.
I'm ready to make a motion.
I will note it. Just let me
All right,
finish
thank you.
it. Teach me shorthand, right? Okay, I'm good.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness for 459 Old York Road with the replacement of the deck and egress steps as it has been described in the proposal, using the materials that have been described in the proposal and presented to us, as well as to make just a note that this is a unusual situation where these composite materials have had to be used
Because of water.
because of water.
I would also like to say though that, have you add to that is, that just went out of my head.
You'll remember by the time we vote.
By the time we
Is, on the back of that, it had its coastline. Is that the color?
You
Pardon me.
can capture that.
Oh, I know.
If you need for your purposes, then I can pick it back up, whatever. works
Okay,
for you.
yeah, if
Yeah,
you want
I
to
was
take
just
that,
gonna
Joe,
mention
and
that we,
Sure.
Yeah,
to
I'll
put
take
this.
capture that, and then I'll get it back to
Yeah.
Jeff one way or the other.
The
That's what
appropriate
it
color.
was. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd second the motion, and I want to just point out one thing, that do we need to put into this that the concept of the tubular steel is being used because of the ADA requirements, if I'm correct, which you wouldn't have that on any house that we're
Oh,
dealing
it's a
with?
code requirement.
It's just a code requirement. It would, any step citywide would have to have it.
Right, but they wouldn't necessarily have the steel, tubular steel.
We could mention the tubular steel as it's going to, in addition, have tubular steel.
Right, I have that noted,
It's in
and it's
there.
being painted black. And
But normally you wouldn't have that going in, like if somebody were to do that on a house in the residential area, we wouldn't be putting
This is-
tubular steel on.
This isn't residential though.
Right,
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
That's the
Okay.
point you're making.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's 12 inches out too, is the
Yeah.
catch-all.
And just to clarify, all the components are of the TimberTech material, with the exception of the top rail and the bottom rail.
Of all the rails, all the horizontal.
Right.
The horizontal rails will be
Horizontal.
pressure treated too.
Yeah. And anything structural is pressure treated, but those will mostly be sheathed with compatible materials so that it's on uniform.
So just one question. So in fading, because you're painting or staining the other material and this is already integrated, is there going to be a difference in color possibly?
I can only say currently on the other side, the paint matches that, and that is not supposed to fade. That's another reason we're using
Yeah.
that. So we will get a color match. I don't have a color name for that, but I can take that to any reputable painting company and they can
Yeah.
do a color match based on
Right.
that sample.
Right.
So it's not supposed to fade over time. If anything, perhaps the painted portions might.
Well,
fade
that's
over
what I
time.
meant. Yeah.
And then they would need to go back when they paint them again
And-
and color match the pressure, excuse me, non-pressure treated
Okay.
composite rather than pressure.
Okay.
All right, let me run through this motion. So Diana made a motion to approve the project as described and using the TimberTech composite material, noting the unique wet and flooding condition of this particular site. And we'll have the sample. All horizontal rails will be pressure treated wood and painted after it ages properly to match the TimberTech material. And all structure will be pressure treated wood and primarily clad with the TimberTech.
Mhm.
And Joe
Sounds great.
seconded that. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Connie.
Aye.
Diana made the motion. Rod.
Aye.
Joe seconded. Mike Cole.
Aye.
What did I do wrong here? Did I miss somebody?
Connie, I think you missed.
Oh, no, I got
There you go,
Connie, I
Connie.
got Diana. I
And
got
Joe seconded.
Rob, Joe, Rod, Joe. Okay, all right.
Yep.
Motion carries unanimously. All right. Don't go anywhere.
That's a funny ring.
Let me get all this stuff
I'm
together.
gonna get rid of my sample docs and then bring a contract.
Can I keep this?
You may, yeah.
Do you need another chair?
I can make it.
Okay, thank you. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay.
You can put them right there or use them. There you go.
Oh, it's got the goods. It's got the goods. All right.
You need it.
The applicant owner of the property located at 427 North New Street proposes to replace a failing and inappropriate garden wall that's parged concrete masonry units at the current time at the northeast corner of the property with brick walls and iron details that match the existing garden wall at the north and west perimeter of the property. The proposed new brick garden wall will be the same dimensions, length, depth, and various heights of the removed block concrete masonry unit wall. The new brick size, type, color, rendition, and finish bond, which is a running bond, mortar joint color and style, which is a grapevine joint, cap detail, etc., will match the existing garden wall at the north side and west rear perimeter of the property. The salvaged iron details will be repaired in kind as needed, painted black, and reinstalled to match the existing brick garden wall. and it's proposed that this work will resolve the failing front garden wall and unify the exterior appearance of the front, side, and rear elevations. And this is there's a little garden in front of, there's a small two-story section on the right end of the building.
Mhm.
So this is a little garden wall, around that garden. The gate is to be reused. Some history, again, I'll stand corrected, Jeff, if you want to jump in, but 2.5 stories, the main house, cross gabled roof, main structure, brick facade, 6/6 light double hung windows. Second floor windows are fitted with louvered shutters. First floor windows are fitted with paneled shutters. The narrow 2-story portion of the building on the north side contains the small masonry wall garden or courtyard that's in question right now. The walls, as we said, are constructed of concrete masonry units that have been parged. The wall is topped with ornamental ironwork and an iron gate on the New Street side of the garden or courtyard. All ironwork has been painted black. The original main structure was built around 1846 as a 1.5-story house by Augustus Boll. Did I say that right? A Moravian entrepreneur, and was owned by Henry Schultz, a Moravian bishop, and from what I read, Charles Luckenbach, a Moravian entrepreneur. From the project we just talked about, the house was later increased to 2.5 stories and Victorianized in 1886 by Abram Prince, and again colonialized in 1927 by John and Alice Prince Taylor. So I forget your name. Don. It's right on your shirt. Why shouldn't I? So again, Jeff, Don, and I met out at the site and went through this pretty thoroughly. The wall that we're talking about to the north and west, kind of rear of the building that exists, the brick wall is well detailed. It's got a gently sloping cap, and at intersections and turns, the curve, the slope follows. There's a little ridge and a slope. So we went over all those details, and Don made me very confident that he's more than capable of replicating that. And we actually saw some bad repairs that were made, but and he promised me it won't look like that, which you'd have to try hard to make it look like that. So I think, this is a wall, as you can see, that was built at some point with just looks like standard, concrete masonry units, and then parged, and water has gotten into it over time and freeze thaw, and the parging's splitting off. So it's basically gonna be what it is, except it's going to be beautifully detailed brick instead of not so beautifully detailed parged.
I think that should be rephrased as not so beautiful, undetailed.
Oh yeah, undetailed. So I don't know if you guys have anything.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I have just one question, and that is, so the iron fence here, you're restoring that because it already matches the iron on the rest of the wall, the iron part of it?
Yeah, all the ironwork will be salvaged and reinstalled.
It's there already.
Installed. Yeah, I can see that it's there already, and it already matches, but yeah, I got it. So all you have to do is restore that, essentially, salvage it and restore it.
Yeah, we're assuming that detail was inspiration for the rear garden.
Ah, got it.
It's a bit newer than this.
Yep.
wall,
Yep.
But much better construction.
Yeah, got it.
I do have a question about the steps. Are the steps going to be replaced, or are they just going to remain as they are? They're repaired. Okay.
So there's a little detail on the foundation wall on the bottom of the building here that's not going to be repeated on this, is it? So that this little detail right here, it's a little raised.
Oh, there's actually a closer view of that corner here. We're talking about this corner.
Yes.
You can see it going here. It's hidden by the downspout we were talking about.
Oh, okay. So I'm talking about this detail on the front of the
Yeah, we're not
building.
touching
You're
the
not
main
touching.
structure.
You're not touching that, but are you going to repeat that here in
No.
detail? So it's just going to be solid without that raised part.
Correct.
Okay.
And it will look like the wall at the rear. You see that there's no base
Okay.
at that wall. There is a cap on the
Right.
So you have two different bricks here.
Yeah, we samples. I'll let him walk through the sample.
Sure. So these are two samples that are very similar and commensurate with the existing walls in the back that were built perhaps in the 80s or 90s. Okay. I think you've seen them. On the
This photo.
These two bricks here are manufactured by a company called Watsontown in Northeast Pennsylvania. This brick here is called a Franklin. And this is very, very close to the wall in the back. This is also manufactured by Watsontown. It's called Philadelphia. The brick in the back of the museum have aged and faded, and they have quite a bit of accumulation of detritus. So I cannot replicate all of that on the new wall. Also, it is my professional opinion that the original mortar joint on the back is commensurate with this particular sample, this mortar sample. There are mortar samples that are very, very close in terms of the color, but this, I believe, is extremely close to the. So the mortar is also of a Portland-based cement because it is a contemporary wall that is in the back, and that is what I'm trying to replicate in the front.
And then how do these bricks compare to the front of the building itself and the mortar?
There is a contrast because the brick and the mortar on the front are 19th century.
Agreed.
Okay, and that is a lime-based mortar due to the softer brick, the composition of those bricks that are on.
But is there a large difference in the color of this brick as it frames the garden next to the house? Do you understand my question?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is on the New Street side, there is a lighter colored brick, more consistent with the Philadelphia. But on the inside, facing the alley, so the wall on the Kemmerer, which faces north, has a blend to it. So it is not identical to the front. And that's also consistent with historic buildings. You would have a greater investment in a brick that will stand out and have gravitas. Whereas on the side, the builders invested less in the brick and were less concerned because it was not a focal point.
If I may, when the addition of the back of this portion of the building was reviewed and approved several years ago, we were requested to count the types of bricks because Harb did not want to see that addition be yet another brick, and we counted 6 different brick types. So there's already a history there at the site of using different types of bricks for different reasons, rather than one type or one specific.
And the bricks that you're looking at here are going to tie in to the walls in the back.
Correct. At
Because
least
the walls
make
in the
that-
back aren't going to tie into the house either.
Correct. They don't.
So are you proposing to use both the Philadelphia and the
Franklin.
Franklin?
I'm actually giving the option of 2 different choices. And just to reiterate, the Franklin, which is a slightly darker patina, if I do use that for brick.
Yeah.
I know it's is more consistent with the wall in the back, the retaining wall in the back.
So your professional opinion would be to use this Franklin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And what color is the mortar?
I'm sorry, Mike, what did you
I'm
ask?
just asking what color the mortar is so we can capture the,
Pardon me.
is that the sample number?
Correct.
Okay.
So once again, that is what I have ascertained to be the most consistent with the original color in the back. And there are variations, very close variations on this color
Okay.
that are available.
And that's Portland based, right?
Correct, yeah. Because of the composite of a contemporary brick. And in terms of mortar colors too, the manufacturers have come out of the dark ages, in terms of, quite literally, in terms of the options and the quality of the colors, whereas not so long ago, you would have to add a dye, a powdered dye, and it just was not consistent. It was extremely difficult to get a good, consistent, color fast mix from one batch to another. It was extremely difficult.
Thank you.
So now, I just did a job trying to match mortar color on a 40-year-old structure here in Bethlehem. And fortunately, I was able to get it virtually identical to the existing structure, doing some repair pointing.
I'll make a motion. I move that we approve the project 427 North New Street to replace the existing block garden wall at the east elevation with Franklin brick, and the mortar being
Portland
used,
mortar.
number C 320-B.
Correct.
C320-P.
Gates. Okay.
And then to reinstall the salvaged iron details, the gate, and using the same steps, right?
Repairing.
Sure.
Repairing them.
Yeah, the ironwork is not.
Right, it's part of the project that we need.
And does the ironwork get cemented into the mortar joints?
They would have to countersink.
It's on the top.
Sorry?
It's on the top.
I'm sorry?
It's on, the iron's on the top.
Right. But is it going to be, so it's going to be countersunk into the brick?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Set the ironwork inside. Put some sort of cement that fast.
Mm-hmm.
On the very last page of photographs, there's actually a close-up. I tried to get
This one? Yeah.
And Connie, you specifically mentioned east elevation. There's also a north-facing
And then-
part
yeah,
of
I
that
see that,
wall
yes.
as well, correct?
Thanks, Rod.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Connie made the motion. Diana,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and Michael seconded the motion. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for my appearance, I just came from
Oh, you look great.
That's all right.
Thanks for the education. That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your last name again?
Yeah, wait a minute. 267, 424,
Yeah,
That
before
number for
we,
client.
4269, me too.
267-424.
4269, Donald Sorensen.
Before we get too far afield,
Thank you.
Yes.
we need to approve the minutes from April 2nd, is it?
Fifth.
April 5th, sorry. I have something with the second. I misdated today as second. Not that-
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you. Appreciate it. Were there any comments or corrections on the minutes of April 5th?
No, I moved them.
If not, who's,
I moved to approve.
so motion is Diana, second Connie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
No, thank you for doing such a great job.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that, Mike.
Second,
So just quickly, do we want to start our little conversations in the next month?
Mhm.
Okay. So if you want to send, because I have to let them know ahead of time what we want to chat about. So if you have any subjects, just send me an email so I can.
I mean, not that it's official, but I do put that on the review that I send you before the meeting, new business,
Yeah,
I think,
I saw.
to keep that on
But
there.
I think they want to.
They want to capture it for the agenda for the website.
I mean, I don't think it hurts to have that on there just running. I mean, it doesn't mean we,
If we don't have to get
We
to it, we
have
don't
to,
get to
but-
it.
you know.
Well, Darlene asked me for specifics.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
And just one last thing I want to bring up. I don't know I made a motion to, but we're going to be in the next month or so moving forward with that ordinance change, the fee schedule and stuff that we've talked about earlier in the year, some administrative approvals and stuff. Now the administrative approvals are up to council, you know what I mean? But we're just going to try and get the ordinance moving forward, out in front of them to get their eyes on it. In case you guys see that.
That was unofficial, by the way, because the meeting has been adjourned, so
Yes.
you can change your mind now.